Very well then, since a new episode's just begun, let's get straight back to what I was about to say. Before any pony gets the bright idea to first waste our time with another intro skit.
Please don't hate me for this, Rarity, but I'm afraid what I'm about to say is gonna be exactly that.
A normal pony would then maybe consider just not saying it, wouldn't they?
True, but you know us just as well as the viewers do. Of course she's still gonna say it.
One of these days. Fine, then get it out of her way.
Thanks, and I promise I'll be quick about it. I was just wondering because I noticed that about you in the previous sketch.
Oh joy, a pronoun gain. Can't you just get to the fucking point?
Okay, sorry. What I mean is to you speaking English, Rarity.
Wow, does she? In case you haven't noticed, Pinky, we all do. It's called mother tongue.
Nada, I think I get what she's trying to say. She wants to point out that you speak in English exclusively, Rare. Hey, yeah! What happened to all your German expressions?
Oh, those. Well, I've been thinking ever since we recorded that last New Year's special where I got to take a break from my trope. Quite frankly, it's a pain in my gorgeous unicorn butt to keep implementing those foreign words that most of the time I can't even pronounce properly. So I decided to do the unthinkable and develop my character. Meaning I'm just gonna get rid of this useless trope. It was nothing but a relic from the early sketches anyways, back when my character had pretty much nothing else to it. But now that I am so much more fleshed out, I don't need it anymore. Besides, it never really was my trope to begin with. We only recently pointed out that it was my human counterpart who came up with that idea. Robotus just kept on getting me and her mixed up.
Which, to be fair, is not that hard. In the original series as well as this one, both versions of us are pretty much the same.
Funny that you of all ponies would say that, because then you'd practically be admitting you're a transgender pedophile who's also attracted to animals.
What? Is that seriously what my counterpart is? Fucking hell, I take it all back.
Too late, Flutz. We all heard your confession.
I swear if Robotus dares to have the other Rarity alts just stop using German words, I'm gonna go jam my hone right into his chest and rip out his still beating heart.
Gee, Rare. Little harsh, don't you think?
Actually, there was one of the tamer things said in this series. Those first dozen episodes were wild.
And a no less fitting one at that. Bad enough that this mistake happened to him the first time, but if he does it again, after he had me say this line right here, then it's safe to say that Robotus just doesn't care anymore. Or maybe he does, and he really is just that much of an amateur.
Well, that should be obvious to anyone who's watched even just one episode of this shit.
Alright, can we now get back to the actual topic this episode was meant to be about? I mean, boo fucking who? Rarity doesn't use words anymore that no one even understood in the first place. Where we started, you were so fucking eager to get going, only to let yourself get distracted yet again. Get started now, will you?
Very well. Now, about the Canterlot Country Club for Canterlot Ponies.
I do hope you're not intending to say that full name every time you mention it.
You know what, Twilight? I should, just on principle.
By all fucking means, Rare. And did you not make any progress in the club business?
Well, you could say that. Actually, there's been quite a lot of development in that affair. You might remember that I had written a letter to the club about my readmittance. I did receive an answer a few days back, in which they unashamedly just declined my demands for a meeting with Fancy Pants. Of course, I didn't take this insolence in stride, but instead doubled down on my rights. I went back to Canterlot directly to the club's mansion and just let myself in. Once I was inside, I demanded to see Fancy Pants immediately. It was then and there when I was met with the first surprise of the day. Apparently, Fancy Pants was also no longer a member of the club. He had made the most embarrassing mistake to put his monocle on the other eye where he usually doesn't wear it. This instantly ruined his entire standing with the other elite ponies, and promptly he was thrown out. But the shocking reveals wouldn't stop there, because when I inquired about the letter he wrote me, I was informed that no pony as of now has the authority to do anything with it. Because get this, Fancy Pants was not actually Fancy Pants. That name was not a name at all, it was a title. The title of the highest-ranking club member, and therefore de facto leader of the Canterlot Elite.
Wait, so that unicorn stallion we met in Season 2, his name wasn't Fancy Pants?
Actually, he's called Trevor Duval. The title of Fancy Pants is given to the one member of the Canterlot Country Club who is the fanciest. Since Trevor had discredited himself with that Monaco debacle, his title has since been left unclaimed. A vote for the next member to earn the title is set to happen within the next weeks.
Alrighty, so far so nonsensical. And what the hell does a fancy pants do?
My knowledge of that is very limited, as even back when I was still part of the club, I wasn't one of the higher ranks. But given the over-exaggerated manner in which this club takes itself seriously, I would say that Fancy Pants makes all the important decisions for the club. Like, for example, the use of available funds, the next projects to invest money in, that kind of thing.
Sounds to me like the kind of role you were born for.
Indeed, darling. And I do intend to take this chance and let myself get elected to be the new Fancy Pants.
Call me a pessimist, but that's gonna be pretty hard if you're not even a member anymore.
If that still were the case, then yes. But if Rarity sets out to accomplish something, you can bet your flanks that she does. After I had heard all about what had happened with Trevor and the upcoming election, the first thing I did was draw my checkbook and hand out ridiculous sums of bribe money to each present club member so they would allow me back in.
It's hard to say what would be more likely, that those stuck-up elitist ponies would still hold it against you that you used to have an OnlyFans, or that they would just instantly forget about it at the sight of some bits.
Actually, the latter, Fluttershy. Riches and wealth are all that counts in this club, next to style and virtue, of course.
So you're back in the club now, Rarity. Are you really gonna try and become the new leader?
Naturally. Especially after all the hoops I had to jump through to get in this position, I would be a fool to let this chance melt away.
Y'all talking about hoops when all you did was bribe some ponies is fucking rich. Literally.
As if it were done with just that. The bribes were enough to get me back into the club, but it only gave me back my old rank. And despite that coming with a lot of privileges, I was not yet eligible for candidating as Fancy Pants.
What kind of ranks are you even talking about? How are we supposed to imagine that?
Well, I was merely considered a noble. But in order to run for the position of the leader, I need to attain the rank of royal. That was also the reason why I had never before been told the truth about Fancy Pants. Only those worthy of the title shall even know about it. It was actually quite a funny Star Wars reference I did in that scene, and in order to let the viewers partake in it, I want to ask Robotus to implement a spontaneous flashback at this point.
What? Hold on, you can't just throw in a random flashback.
You're a member of this club again, but we do not grant you the rank of royal.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be a member of the club and not be a royal? And then I went back home to prepare an effort to prove to them how royal I am.
Nice, and this first flashback was totally worth it, seeing as it enabled us to throw in this absolutely brilliant Anakin meme.
Let's just come back to the topic here. How y'all gonna convince them kennel of ponies to give you that rank?
You know, that is a very good question. Usually I just solve all my conflicts by throwing money at them, but in this case, I'm not sure if there'll actually be enough. I need to show them that I have the same high standards and class as any of them, as well as the same monstrously inflated ego and lack of self-awareness.
Well, that's 2 out of 4, not a bad start.
Too bad that there isn't a way for you to demonstrate how self-absorbed and superficial you are. I mean, we as your friends know this, but you're right, it's those kind of ponies that need to see it.
How about your crystal statue?
Huh? My what?
That statue made of shimmering crystals mined and built with slave labor. I don't think any pony can tell you that that isn't a sign of psychotic narcissism.
Oh my god, Pinky, I think you're right. My statue, of course. How could I forget about it? I was literally just talking about that last episode. Yes, if I were to place the statue in front of my boutique, I will be able to show every pony just how glamorously careless I can truly be. Even those naysayers of the country club won't be able to deny that only a royal would do something so self-centric and pompous.
You talking about the same statue that you just said the very last episode how you weren't gonna move it in the foreseeable future? Man, you're right. I don't know why, but for some reason I believe Robotus had developed past this sluggish writing style where it would establish something one episode only to completely nullify it in the next.
Well, in his defense, originally the part about my rank in the club was supposed to come up before the next episode. But you know how Robotus has this compulsive obsession with making his sketches longer than they need to be. And while he was at it, why not also move the plot along?
At least he tried to mask it by half-assedly make you come up with it. He even made it so that Pinky gave you that suggestion in order to deceive the viewers into thinking that this scene was decently written.
Anyone else think that maybe we're the only ones who really take that much issue with this? I don't think the viewers care all that much about illogical inconsistencies in a comedy series about funny horses.
Frankly, neither do I. But talking shit about Robotus and ripping into his work is just so darn fun.
Either way, be this idea as sluggishly implemented as it may, I still think it's going to be helpful. I have no doubt that once they see this act of sheer pretentiousness, the Cantaloupe ponies would have no choice but to grant me the rank of royal as well. You can already get used to calling me Fancy Pants because this title is as good as mine.
Yeah. Not in a million years.